Hi. Where do I look? I don't know. Um, okay, well, okay, so the last few days I've been doing my video, I've had my med in. So, it's when I have like my energy, it's when I am more clear, it's when I have I don't know. Anyway, so I wanted to get on here and just kind of um, I just had my doctor's appointment. So it was at noon. So I was kind of anxious all morning. I also need to do some things after my son's school today. I got to take him out and get, a couple pairs of shorts. He wants to start going to the gym, and I promised him that we would get Bang My sandwiches that from a place in Abbotsford that we just noticed was here, and that's something that I've been wanting to try out. So that's what we're doing today. And I know that kind of shortly after he gets home from school typically is when I'm starting to crash. So I tried to take my med a bit later so I would have more energy kind of later on in the day. But I did end up taking it like still at 9:30, so I might still have fucked myself, but we'll see. Um, but so I've been battling with this insomnia, and I've also been really tired, but not sleeping great. But actually, when I do sleep, it's deep. I know. I'm not. Doesn't sound like I'm being genuine, but like I am. That's why it's all over the place, because like I'm trying to like input every bit of information to make it truthful, but then it just doesn't come out clear. But last night I was like I was tired, and I went to bed at like 7 in the after, just like 7 p.m. And I kept kind of getting up a little bit and this and that, but like then I slept till like 7 this morning. It's like 7:30 this morning. 12 hours. So I mean, if I can do that, like not 7 at night to go to bed, but like early, like 9, 10, then I can bypass all the nighttime eating and everything. I just don't know if it's possible for me to do that, but we'll see. And we'll see tonight, because if I've had 12 hours of sleep, maybe I won't be able to sleep tonight, but I'm hoping that I can. But anyway, I wanted to talk about the doctor's appointment. Well, first, okay, that's why I was talking about the sleeping. So I was up at 7. I stayed in my bed. I was just kind of like checking online banking and this, like, getting my little, like, checking the calendar. I obsess over the online banking and the calendar and my calculator, and it's a bit, if someone counted all the times that I check my online banking and my calendar, my phone calendar, I actually pay a year's subscription for a better calendar on our phones, because like I don't like the iPhone calendar that it just comes with, and like I color code everything, and I have to put things in my calendar where I forget. Like I'll put in just anything that I feel like I'm gonna need to remember next year or something. And like my husband's work schedule, appointments, obviously. Yeah. Anyway, and I knew that I had my appointment with the doctor, and I knew that I had to do stuff with my kid after school, so I was up. Oh my god. Why? What's wrong? This lighting makes me not feel like I have that much gray hair. I do, but maybe it's just because it's dark enough. I don't know. Anyways, Jesus Christ. I took my med at 9:30, and then I was thinking, okay, so if my kid and I are going to have sandwiches for dinner, I need to make something for the husband. So, like, I'm trying to think of what I can make. Anyway, what's the point? What's the point? The point is, I was anxious about my 12 o'clock appointment all morning because I knew I typically do that. Like, if I have an appointment, I'll just, like, I'm like waiting for it to happen. So I don't, and I normally on a normal day, I like, before this med even existed in my life, I would just kind of sit and wait and be anxious and maybe write down, like, I've already written down a couple things to talk to the doctor, and just like go over the conversation in my head a million times. Like, just, you know, how am I going to start it? What am I going to say? How am I going to say it? What is he going to say? Like, all this stuff. And I was kind of doing that. So I decided to not. And I was just going to go and do like some little bit of meal prep for tonight for my husband, and maybe start a little, like, I started a little grocery list for what we're going to need for next week, for this weekend. And, you know, I took my med at like 9:30, and so, you know, that kicks in within, you know, half an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. And then, like, I sit down in the living room, and I'm, like, you know, watching kind of TV, and then I see that it's dirty, so I'm like, well, I might as well just throw in a load of laundry, like the couch cushions and the little blankets that, because the cats shed, and they like the couch, so we put little blankets down so it doesn't ruin the couch completely. Too late for that, by the way, but... And then, like, I just was doing this stuff, and I kept, like, you know, remembering the time and remembering I have a phone call coming, and but I was way less anxious about what I was going to say, because I'm like, well, I have something written down. And then it was like, and then my phone started ringing as I was in the middle of doing this food prep stuff after I'd fucking vacuumed the floor and did the laundry, and, like, and then I was prepping, and my phone was ringing. So I'm like, well, who, like, is my husband calling me again? Because he had already called to say good morning. And it was 10 after 12, and it was my doctor. Like, that shit never happens to me. I'm always like, you know, and a couple of little things like that has happened where it's like, I'm going to do something, and then I've forgotten what I was worrying about the whole time, kind of thing, in the background waiting. And so there's nothing wrong with that, because when I picked up the phone, like, I was available, I knew I was available, but, like, you know, he was a bit late, and normally I'm like, oh, like, waiting, that would have drove me nuts. It's just something that I've noticed that, I guess because the med kind of takes away the need to obsess and worry about what's coming, kind of like I was saying the other video, like, when I see something that needs to get done, I just, like, I'm more inclined to just do it, and which is good. But, like, I've seen this on other people. I've seen where, like, they are kind of always running late, or always kind of forgetful about, like, they're not cognizant of other people's time. And, you know, I guess I kind of judge them a little bit about being selfish, or, like, too high strung to, like, I guess I kind of chalked it up to them not caring about other people. But really, I think it's just a different form of, I don't know. I'd way rather this. I'd way rather this than like kind of overly obsessing and getting really, really anxious and like can't do anything, can't do life until this thing is over, until this appointment is over. Like I'm just waiting and anxious and, you know, making sure that I say the right thing. And then, but I can't do life in the meantime. Today, I was doing life and then like I was, you know, kind of caught off guard a little bit about the phone call that I knew was coming, but I'd you know what I mean? Like I'd rather that than I'm not going to repeat it because like that's what I do and I don't need to do that. So I just like that's something that I've kind of noticed. Like the way that I am now, the way that I'm talking now, the way that I've talked to the doctor on the phone, which I'll discuss. So I wanted to mention how that went. It feels good, but I can see how it might look like I'm on speed. It doesn't feel like I'm at a like an at a whatever, but I can kind of see how it like I don't know. I gotta look more into what exactly Vyvanse is. Like it's an amphetamine, right? Like it's speed. I don't know. We'll see. So the conversation with the doctor, I did the majority of the talking, as you can probably imagine. He asked how the 40 milligrams of Vyvanse was going. I explained to him that it was, you know, seems like the perfect fit. I did tell him how I wished it kind of lasted longer. I do have these crashes after about 6 hours, and but that I am going to talk to the weight loss clinic and he agreed. Like they've you know suggested and Vyvanse for BED, binge eating disorder, more than he ever has. Like he's you know diagnosed it or prescribed it for ADD. Yeah, but like I told him, it looks like I've lost about 10 pounds. It looks like I do have a good chunk of the time, like 6 hours of the day of like, I feel kind of like this is what I told him was, this is how normal people are supposed to feel. Like, and that no wonder I've had such a hard time living life if, you know, if this is what kind of normal people will feel like they can just do things and not stress and worry so much about every single thing and not be able to live life. Like I'm actually able to, you know, see something and get it done and not be bombarded by just like a whole bunch of just really bad emotions and fear. But again, I wish it felt more, it feels natural in the moment. But I just felt it, I wish it felt natural the whole day, every day. Like, you know what I mean? Like because then it wouldn't be like a med is doing this for me. It would be more so like a genuine, I wouldn't have the crash. I wouldn't have to like, you know, but we'll see. Like I said before, and I don't have to keep going over it, but I'll see if I can kind of modify some of the things that I do to help. And maybe, you know, trying to get an early bedtime, maybe that takes a sleeping pill. I haven't been taking it. I haven't been taking the trazodone. So I just don't want to take a whole shit ton of meds all the time just to like be able to live. But we'll see. Also, what I told him was that it seems to be making things a little bit more clear. I know I said this in the last video, but like I wanted to, I kind of feel good about the conversation I had with the doctor, because that was part of the nerves, was that like I wanted him to hear me, and I wanted to be strong in what I had to say. Like I wanted to be confident in what I had to say, and I was scared of what his thoughts were and scared of what his judgments would be. So I did tell him about the arthritis, how it's like I'm able to notice more facts instead of feelings, and like I've noticed that the arthritis and the hip injury has really diminished my life since I got it. And just over time, and over, almost 20 years of this hip lock. And he's like, well, what hip lock? What do you mean? So I realized I haven't even discussed exactly what the injury feels like and does for me, to me. Because my hip can't move in certain directions. Like it can't move side to side. And you'd be amazed on how much side to side matters in a hip. And it can't even really move frontwards, like fully. Like my gait is messed up. So anyways, I told him the importance of like what I think a hip replacement would do for me at this age. I understand that I'm young. I understand that, and he said it. He's like, that's mostly, like, yeah, you most likely are too young, and this and that. And I didn't back down. I was like, you know what? I understand that I'm young for that kind of surgery, that they don't last long, and that like, when you're 60, 65, would you want to get it done again? And I just kind of reinforced that like, I'm not the average person. I understand that is true, but where I'm at with my extreme mental disorders, my extreme depression, PTSD, the way that I cope isn't healthy, isn't great. I don't cope with stress well. I don't, I've had a hard time. I've had a hard childhood. And then, immediately when I start becoming my own person and getting pregnant on purpose to have my baby and get in the accident, I had no chance. I told him, I said, I'd rather have a hip replacement tomorrow and have 20 years of a decent, moving, physical life where I can make love my husband and it doesn't hurt. I can, you know what I mean? Like I can live for 20 years without as much pain and as much limitations that I've already had on my whole life. I'm 40 years old and I had been severely limited my whole fucking life. And I told him I don't want it to sound like it's a threat or anything, but like, it could be life and death for me. Like it could be that and that's when he kind of changed his tune. He's like, well, it is really kind of up to talking to the surgeon. And when you're talking to the surgeon, it's really about how is it impacting your life. It's not necessarily only about what the x-ray says or what, you know what I mean? Like what exactly it looks like, and if there's still, some use out of your leg. If it's impacting your life to the to the limitations of like you not being able to do much of anything, and your emotional health, your physical health, your soul, and just everything, then like that's maybe a different story. So it is worth kind of keeping that in the back of our minds. So I'm glad that I talked to him about that, because I think that's the first time I've really, really put it in that kind of perspective for him. And that's important. I need to be clear, right? And that's kind of part of what this med is doing, is making things a little bit more clear for me and be able to explain and communicate with somebody that needs to know me and advocate for me as well. I also told him about my COVID, my long haul COVID. I said, I understand that you have your own ideas and beliefs and stuff like that. But I do need you to hear me when I say that I have had COVID and that I have long haul COVID. And I know that I have long haul COVID because right now it's very clear. It's clear that the symptoms that I have, the symptoms that I've had over this last couple of years, really. And I told him, the reason why it hasn't been clear is because, like, a lot of the symptoms are kind of like, they can be chalked up to a lot of the diagnosis that I've had already. And that, but I do know that they, I think, like, long haul COVID, I think some of these COVID symptoms, exacerbate some of the things that you've had already. But these new things, like this ear tinnitus, this brain blockage, ear blockage, I understand I vape a lot, so me saying that, like, the shortness of breath, but it's a different shortness of breath. It's a shortness of breath that it's for no reason. Like, it's not like, anyway, I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to, like, make people believe me or anything. And also the heart palpitations, right? And then, like, things are piecing together. Like, people have lost hair. I was losing hair. I thought it was keto. I was losing hair after 6 months. Chunks and chunks of hair. I was losing hair. Anyway, I know myself enough. And then I also said, like, I also know that, like, because of my mental illnesses and because of my, depression and anxiety and PTSD, and then, like, my, the paranoia stuff, I tend to kind of go down a rabbit hole of, like, conspiracies and stuff like that as well. And that's not healthy. But this med is kind of like removing that part of it and only looking at the facts. And so I was able to share that with him. And he heard me, and he, he says, whether you have it or not, like, no. I said, whether you believe that I have it or not, it maybe doesn't matter. Even if I, like, even if you're like, yep, you have it, that's fine. What does that mean? Nothing really. Like, because there's not, like, a firm answer of, like, you have long haul COVID. Yes, so that means, great, take this pill and you're good. Right? Or that means your veins are swollen, so you need to do this, or, you know what I mean? Whatever that means, there's no fucking answer. There's no clear-cut answer. So what the answer is, like, is to deal with the symptoms. How do you deal with the symptoms? Well, each individual symptom is its own thing, and I got to deal with those individually. And the things that I have been doing do try and treat those symptoms, right? Like, I'm dealing with a weight loss clinic, and dealing with a EMDR therapist, and I'm, all these things to try and help my overall life and my overall lifestyle, as well as, like, I've been referred. He did confirm that he referred me to the ear, nose, and throat specialist that may or may not see something in my ear, nose, and throat. But all these things that I'm doing will inevitably help my overall health and life. And but I needed him to kind of just hear that that's what's going on. one of the things, right? And I don't know. I mean, who knows? Maybe down the line there will be an answer, or a fucking clear-cut, like, problem, right? Like, seems like everybody with long-haul COVID has this in their blood now, and so at least right? Like, I don't know. We'll see. But that was a conversation with the doctor, No reason for fucking stress. I was able to be heard. I forgot to mention that I was approved for CPP disability, so when he sent me a link to like a website about how to like about long haul COVID and stuff like that. So I just replied to that, telling him the good news and thank you for your help, kind of thing. So it was good. It was fine. And now my son will be home in just over an hour. So I'll have had stuff will be ready for me to make that. I'm just gonna make this different kind of fried rice stuff. There's leftover chicken that I made yesterday. Probably the best chicken I've made. So I'm thinking a little bit outside of the box these days. And then I will go out with the kid. That's it. I have family members coming to stay with us one night. They'll stay in Abbotsford in a hotel for a couple of nights before that, and in Vancouver for a couple of nights before that. So that'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing them. I think I'm getting a little bit less anxious about me. I always feel like I'm on trial, or like I'm gonna be judged, or whatever, because I always think I live my life so much differently and so much worse than everybody else, kind of thing, and that makes me scared. Also, just not feeling comfortable, knowing how to communicate with people how they expect to be communicated with, like what a normal people talk about, what a normal people usually do. It's a matter of practice. I don't do it. I don't, feels uncomfortable. So we'll see. I don't know. The husband and the son will be home to help buffer my awkwardness, I guess. And it won't be all about me. But I just wanted to share that. I think that's what I wanted to share. He renewed my prescription for 30 days, so that'll be ready probably by tomorrow, I guess. I'll pick that up, and I keep obsessively looking to see if there's any money, but there isn't yet. I mean, it's only been just over a week. And tax return, there'll be a little bit of money. That would have been helpful if it was in the bank by today, because then I could not worry about going and getting those shorts and stuff. But whatever. It is what it is. It will be coming, and I don't have to obsess over it. I just wonder how much energy I'm going to have the rest of the day. I do have some of those 50 milligram meds still, because I had to stop taking them. But since I've been on 40, and I will have been on 40 for a few weeks, maybe on a day when I want a little bit more energy, I take a 50. I'll try it one day and see if it's too much or not. We'll see. Okay, that's it. Love you. Bye.